What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is your review for Love and Marriage Huntsville. Season, what episode we on? Season 3, episode 16. So listen, this was the episode of redo, repeat, revisit, rewind. Because I feel like this whole episode was us talking about what we done already talked about. So we start this episode off. We have Melody down in her office, and Marceau shows up, and what we find out is that Kimmy has called a comeback group meeting to discuss the comeback group. Now, I'm with Melody on this one. Baby, I left the comeback group in 2019. I'm not sure what we talking about. I'm not sure why we need to talk. I'm not sure where any of this is coming from. But anyway, before we get to the meeting, Marceau and Melody had a chance to discuss the fact that the mamas was going at it down to the Destiny race last week. And the Destiny race was so beautiful, but the mamas going at it, that was just kind of ugly. And Marceau goes on to talk about how, yeah, because, you know, people really shouldn't be talking about other people and whatever extramarital affairs may or may not be going on. Now, I feel like Marceau was talking in code to Melody about her and Martel trying to spread the rumor about him having the 15 women's and the babies on the side. She was like, that's really interesting for him to say, because last season he was perpetuating the rumor about my mama and a sex tape. All of that is the truth, okay? So, once again, when you're living in a glass house, you don't need to be throwing stones, because all of them got some glass houses, okay? So then, one by one, all of them show up, and then, of course, Martel gets there. So, Melody, once again, starts off the meeting with, I don't mean no harm, but, I don't have nothing to do with the comeback group. There is, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, y'all can do what y'all want to do, but I told y'all back 3 years ago that I didn't want anything to do with the comeback group, and I kind of meant what I said. Kimmy's thing is, I hear it, I receive it. But because Holt and Holt is dissolving, the comeback group was under Holt and Holt. And so there's some business that needs to be handled if it's going to dissolve. Like, if we are dissolving the comeback, like, legally, because I guess they did some paperwork, maybe set up some sort of LLC or situation. I don't know all the legalese. I said, okay, well, if that's the case, then I understand. If we all need to come together and there needs to be some paper signed so that none of our names are on any type of paperwork because Holt and Holt has been dissolved, cool. So then I don't know how we got on a conversation about projects and let's do a project together. And are we going to do a project? Are we not going to do a project? Then somebody, I think, said something about a baby or something. And Melody said, speaking of babies, Martel, where the kids? Martel gonna say they in your office. She said, what? He said, you're in your office. What, they can't be in your office? She said, no, they in my office all the time. But number one, how you gonna have my babies in the building and not tell me my kids are here so I can at least go say hi to my children? And number two, I need to make sure that they set up so they don't tear my office up, okay? Now, let's start at the beginning. Martel, you were wrong for walking up in that woman's office. I know it used to be your office, but it ain't your office no more. You was wrong for walking up in that office and not telling that woman that her children were there. Let's just start at the beginning and work our way back. He could have just as easily walked in and said, Mel, the kids are in the... I mean, if nothing else, it's a courtesy. I got 4 kids up in your office right now. So Melody goes to go talk to the kids and say hi and everything. And it was downhill from there. Then they got to talking about, Melody got to talking to Martel about, well, I heard you had a meeting about the 47 acres without me and this and this and this and that. And she said, let's be clear, I have no intention of doing any business with Martel Holt. I don't want to build nothing with him. I don't want to have nothing to do with him. I don't want no connection to him. So, of course, Melody and Martel end up getting into a back and forth, tit for tat, 5-year-old fighting another 5-year-old conversation. And Martel proceeds to get up and walk out because now he mad and he in his feelings. He gets up and he leaves out with the kids. And then Melody turns to the group and she makes a good point. She said, listen, let me explain something to y'all. Me and Martel will never get back together. And it's not about an affair, and it's not about a baby. It's about the character of this man that I would never want to do business with. She said, and I'm going to be honest, I don't understand how y'all do. How do y'all know who this man is and still want to do business with him? I said, well, that's a valid question. That's just a valid ass question. And y'all know I don't even be saying it for Melody like that. But that's a valid question. So Martel ends up having to call back. He says, you know, their oldest daughter, she's upset. I'm coming back so maybe you could talk to her, you could calm her down. So they come back. Melody takes the daughter into her office and closes the door and turns her mic off and everything, which is I can appreciate because they didn't need no cameras. Whatever was going on, they didn't need no cameras. The rest of the group is sitting there like, all right, well, this is a wrap. Like, we need to end this right here because y'all got bigger issues going on than the comeback group and us filming this scene. Like, because clearly that's all this was filming the scene, because ain't nobody said nothing about the comeback group in 2 seasons. Now all of a sudden we having conversations about the comeback group. Marceau tried to have a conversation with Martel once again about controlling his anger, controlling himself, not allowing himself to go and get involved in this back and forth, this pit-pat, you know, tit-for-tat shit with Mel, you know. And Martel was like, well, I just can't let nobody say whatever they want to say to me and me not respond. Yeah, you can. It's called being a fucking adult. It's called having some self-control. So it was ugly. It was hard. It was hard to watch, and I'm sure for everybody, I'm sure for the Scotts, it was hard to be there for it and process it. Later on in the episode, Melody, Tisha, and Kimmy are talking, and Kimmy asked her a good question. She said, listen, what do you need from us? When things like that happen, what is it that you need from us as a friend group? And Melody said, you know what, that's a really good question. The best answer I have is just don't put me in a position to be in a room with Martel. We are not ready. We are not ready to be around each other in a social setting. We just can't handle it. And for that, if this were a TV show, I would say bravo. That is perfect. That's perfect. We're just going to co-parent and we're going to move forward. But unfortunately, both of y'all have signed on to be a part of a TV show that is going to require y'all to be around each other. So y'all have to figure this shit out. Anyway. Then we see Maurice and Marceau, they're going to play tennis. They trying to get their tennis game up. They said, listen, basketball, we got it. Football, we got it. Golf, we working on it. Tennis, And Marceau's thing is, I don't never want to be in a position where somebody asks us to handle something and we ain't equipped to do it. So we got to get our, you know, Venus and Serena on and figure this tennis thing out so we can at least, if, you know, some business partners want to invite us out to play tennis, we can at least look half decent. We can look like we know what we're talking about. I said, that's respectful. Somebody told me that once upon a time I was younger, and somebody said business deals are made on the golf course. Like, you don't learn to play golf because you love the game. You learn to play golf because that's what business is handled. And I was like, okay, valid statement. So they get to talking, and of course they talk about meeting with Dr. Francis, and of course Marceau ain't, you know, he ain't here for it. But Maurice says, listen, I really got something out of it. You know, I really did get a lot out of it, and I heard what he said. He reiterated with him about having the 2 wives thing, and of course Marceau was like, that's an exaggeration. Like, that's an exaggeration. And Maurice was like, no, the point was valid. Like, when you think about what he was saying, it was a valid comparison. And so my thing is, therapy isn't for everybody else. Therapy is for you. So Marceau doesn't have to see the value in it. But Maurice, if you walked away from something, and that's what it's there for, and that's the purpose of it, and cool. Then, of course, they talked about the Martel Melody situation. And Maurice made a very interesting statement. Maurice said, listen, I have no interest in doing any business with Martel Holt until he can control himself. Because what I'm not going to do, He said, it's bad enough when I have to make excuses for my employees messing up or my supervisors messing up. But what I'm not going to do is put myself in a position to make an excuse for a business partner. I can't do it. He said, and when you know better, you do better. He said, my family eats off of the decisions that I make. And I can't knowingly walk into this situation seeing what I'm seeing and make that and go into business with him. And I was like, respect. I can respect that because again, you have to learn how to separate friends and business. You just have to learn how to do it. The other thing, going back to the conversation they were having with the comeback group, Melody made a statement. She said, I'm doing okay, and I don't understand why he isn't. And Marceau brought up a very valid point. Marceau said, you know why you're doing okay? Because you're winning. And I think I said that last week in my review. You're winning. Your money is good, Melody. You're working. You have businesses. You walked out of this the fan favorite. Like, Martel is the villain. You're the fan favorite, and you're doing well. And I'm not saying she doesn't deserve it, and I'm not saying she ain't a hustler, and I'm not saying she didn't work for it. That's not what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, Martel is the one who damn near bankrupt. I think he living with his mama. Y'all think he living with his mama? You know what I mean? And his business is all over the place. He's the one. And again, I'm not saying he don't deserve it and that he didn't create this for himself. That's not what I'm saying. But it's a whole lot easier to get over it when you standing on top of the mountain. And that's a valid point. Anyway, so Kimmy, Letitia, and Melody get together. And I already told you part of the conversation was about how can we as your friends support you and help you handle the situation when you and Martel go there. And Melody was like, just don't put me in a situation to deal with Martel. The other thing that Kimmy said was that, Letitia said was she's glad that she's in a better situation with her and Mel because that situation between their moms last week could have went left if they weren't in a better situation. So she appreciates the fact that they're in a better situation so that they can handle it better. And I was like, well, that's cool. Lord. Then we see, excuse me, y'all. So then they got to talking about the whole text message thing again with the Destiny race and Kimmy, and again, Kimmy explains a little bit better, which some of y'all said in the comments, and I understood that in the moment, but I also felt like Letitia, like, okay, you just be being a bit petty. But I do understand Kimmy's point to say, listen, in the past, when me and you were in a better space, you handled certain things this way. But because me and you are not in that place anymore, now you're handling it this way, and I see you. Kimmy did admit that she was being a little petty, but she felt like she was reacting to Tisha's petty. Now, Tisha didn't feel like she was being petty. Tisha, you were. You were. You were. I don't know what they need to do to get past it. Like, I feel like child, they just need to let it go. Let it go and move on. Sincerely move on. Like, really, 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 really move on. Anyway, so that was that, child. I'm not, because again, I feel like we had this, I'm not rehashing it. I'm not rehashing that. Finally, we get to Martel meeting up with his business partner. They building the house, yada, yada, yada. His business partner says, hey, how's that studying coming for the test? Make a long story short, Martel is not interested in getting his business, his contractor's license or whatever that is that he has to get. He is content with the fact that he's found somebody else that has, excuse me, that has the license, and he's content with using that man's business, contractor's license. he said, I'm not a good test taker. I can't get motivated. And the man was like, listen, I got some soft. He said, well, how you studying? He said, well, I got the books. He said, no. We ain't using no books, bruh. I got some software that will help you. The software will walk you through it and help you. Man, no, I don't need. See, so basically what you're telling me is you found somebody else that can take Melody's space as your front man, and you don't want the responsibility or whatever else comes with it. You don't want to take that damn test because I guess you can't pass it. And I get it. Whenever there's something like that and you don't pass it the first time or the second time, it becomes a bigger and bigger mountain every time. And the mountain gets bigger and bigger every single time. Like, I understand it from that point of view, but you've got to just tackle it and move on, because what you don't want to do, Martel, is put yourself in the same situation you just walked out of with your wife, where she leaves with the license and now you're stuck again. And part of it is you think you have Marceau in your back pocket, like, well, if this don't work out, me and Marceau can work together. And Marceau done already said he ain't working with you. I mean, he said it to you. You don't know that, but that's what Marceau said. So at the end of the day, you really think you got this figured out, but you don't, bruh. You don't. So you need to get it together. Like, for real, for real. So anyway, Melody calls while he's talking to the guy and says, let me talk to you, Martel. I'm going to pull up. Like, we need to have this conversation face to face. Y'all, this is the shit right here why don't nobody like you, Martel. You were at a restaurant having a business meeting. Melody showed up at the same restaurant on a date. And you felt like it was that you had a right to roll up on Melody while she was on her date and question this man. Then your immature ass pulled up a picture that you clearly took of the guy she was on the date with at the restaurant, and pulled up his picture and showed it on camera, talking about, Melody, just do better. I mean, you can do better than this. You can do better. Do you know how fucking childish you sound? Y'all, I could even see if y'all were separated. Y'all are divorced. She is not your wife. She is the mother of your children. She owes you nothing. No explanation. No conversation. And for you to walk away from a potential business deal when you already know that financially you are in a situation, to go and mess with your ex-wife while she is on a date with another man, do you know how ridiculous you look and sounded? And again, Melody showed up. Her voice was even keeled. She wasn't yelling. She was like, Martel, we need to talk about boundaries. Because what happened last night can't happen again. Like, she wasn't even cussing you out, bruh. Which she had every right to. It wasn't until you got combative with her that she got combative with you. And once again, we have dissolved into a Melody and Martel argument that's unnecessary. Because in this one, you were 120% wrong. 120% wrong. Anyway, that's it. That's all. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Talk to y'all later. Peace.